Hello guys, this your friend, we are back, new fanfic. Which is what if Sakura's training with Tsunade sparked wild daydreams about Naruto while his shadow clones misbehaved, part 1. Don't forget subscribe and share. Now let's start story. So you're going on a training trip. The bitterness that he was leaving her behind unintentionally slipped into her tone. She knew it was silly and that in part he was doing this to bring back Sasuke, but she couldn't help but wish that Naruto could stay in Konoha. She wanted at least some semblance of her normal life to stay behind, even if it was Naruto. But still, how could she dream of denying him a chance to train with Jiraiya of the Sannin? Even she wasn't that selfish. Naruto nodded, his face still bandaged from his battle with Sasuke. He nodded into his ramen and gave her a confident smile. She wondered what had been damaged more, his body or his spirit in the fight with Sasuke. His smile seemed dimmer than before, just enough that Sakura could see that he was hurting too. Don't worry, Sakura. I'll be back in no time and then I'll bring Sasuke back. No. Sakura clenched her fist and glared at Naruto. Her remaining teammate nearly jumped out of his seat. There he went again, trying to take the burden onto himself, forcing her to the sidelines to try and protect her. She was tired of staring at his back. I'll get stronger too, then we'll go get Sasuke. Together. As a team. He turned to look at her. It was a look he had given her a few times, like she was the most amazing person in the entire world. She didn't deserve that look, it made her feel weak, there was no way she deserved it. Naruto then smiled at her. Yay, we'll get Sasuke together. Sakura heard herself say. She felt funny. Really funny. Like 15 cups of coffee before noon funny. And what's more is that she was staring at herself, a confused version of herself. She hoped that Naruto was stupid enough to turn into her, only because she didn't want to deal with the alternative. She looked down and saw orange. She met her own gaze once again, a terrified expression on her face. Naruto. Sakura. They both nodded. A few moments of silence as understanding washed over them, the calm before the storm. Then panic. Ah, what are you doing in my body? What am I doing in your body? It was impossible to tell which one said which as they both screamed at the same time. Sakura stood. Naruto's legs were short. And she felt something shift. Was this how boys always were? It felt like she could run a mile. No wonder Naruto was so hyper all the time. It was then that she heard the malicious cackling that was all too familiar. Sakura spun and looked up to the roof behind them. Ino's legs were being kicked into the air, laughing so hard she had fallen on her back. Naruto, if you do anything to my body, if you even think about doing anything to my body, then I will end you. Like a good boy, Naruto nodded and went rigid. Ino pig. Sakura shouted and began to chase after her screaming blonde friend as she laughed through the village. After the horrible experience that was being inside of Naruto's body, Sakura saw him off. It felt like there was something more that should have been said between, something missing in their goodbye. But the only thing that was really missing was Sasuke. Sakura paused for a moment before the doors to Tsunade's office. If Naruto was being trained by Jiraiya, and Sasuke went to Orochimaru, there was only one person that she could turn to keep up with them, the last member of the Sannin. She knocked on the door. There was a scrambling and a clanking of bottles. Yes. Come in. The room smelled of booze and ink. Behind a desk filled with paperwork sat Tsunade, a curious expression on her face with a single blonde eyebrow raised. Sakura bowed politely. She would not leave this room without Tsunade agreeing to train her. It was the only path she could take. Lady Tsunade. Ah, Sakura, correct. Naruto's teammate. Sakura nodded. The brat talked a lot about you, but what brings you to my office? Sakura steeled her soul and stood straight. Correcting her posture so that she stood with pride that she shouldn't have, Sakura took a deep breath and met Tsunade's eyes. She felt the mouse standing before the dragon. I would like you to train me. Tsunade looked taken aback. Whatever she had been expecting from this, that clearly wasn't it. Then her surprise turned into amusement. Oh, And why should I consider your request? Because when Naruto and Sasuke return, I want them to stare at my back for once. I'm tired of relying on them. A nervous sweat dripped down her back. That wasn't what she had planned to say in the slightest. I need to get stronger so that they can rely on me instead of me always being in the way. Tsunade let out a chuckle and stood up from her desk, her heels tapped against the ground with each step. That's why you want me to train you, not why I should train you. Sakura began desperately trying to find the magical words that would convince Tsunade to train her. Honesty would be her best bet. If you accept me, I will be the hardest working apprentice you've ever seen. I'm sure you would. Tsunade stood before her. Despite the woman's short stature, she had an air of confidence about her that made her seem much larger. With hawk-like eyes, Tsunade examined Sakura, pulling as much information as she could out of her. Getting strong than your teammates is fine, but what is your end goal? Sakura swallowed a gulp of air that rivaled the desert in its dryness. Her goal was to simply be strong enough to not rely on Naruto and Sasuke. To fight by their side. Sasuke's goal was to become the stronger than his brother. Naruto's was to become the strongest Hokage ever. She never doubted Sasuke, and now she didn't doubt Naruto. Which meant her simple goal was a lot more complicated. If she wanted to keep up with her teammates, then that would require, my goal is to surpass you, Lady Tsunade. Good. Tsunade's smile turned cheerful and she slapped her hands onto Sakura's shoulders. We'll start right now. From today forth you will call me master. Sakura did not like the sound of that. Shadow clone jutsu. Sakura blinked. How did she get here? Where even was here? A lightly forested river meandered through its rocky banks, and a cozy-looking inn was nestled between two green trees. Sakura. Naruto's voice shifted in tone the same it always did when he was confused. She spun to see Naruto standing on a rock. What on earth was going on here? The last thing she remembered was, she didn't know what the last thing she remembered was. What are you doing here and why are you wearing my clothes? Sakura looked down and found that she was indeed wearing Naruto's clothes. What the hell? Oh, I know. You're just a clone trying to pull a prank on me. Well, it's not going to work. A ball slammed into Sakura's face with enough force to not only knock her off her feet but force her to spin around twice in the air before she landed flat on her back. The entire world screamed of pain. When I said to try and catch one, I didn't mean with your face. Sakura heard her master shout from across the clearing, though really it was but a single bell in the chorus of pain that racked her mind. What on earth was that? Why was she daydreaming of Naruto all of a sudden, especially in the middle of training? It felt so real too, more real than any of her past fantasies of Sasuke asking her out. That only made the daydream more confusing. It was so random, there was no context, any reason for her to even think about that. Giving up already? Tsunade called out. Cause if so, I don't think you'll ever catch up to Naruto, let alone surpass me. Sakura rolled onto stomach and pushed herself up off the ground. A bit of blood leaked from her nose. For a brief moment, she wondered if Tsunade would be offended if she told her the goals were backward. I'm not giving up. Then stand up. She could hear the pride in Tsunade's voice. They had only been training for a week, but already Sakura could feel the progress. She wasn't making great strides and leaps, but slowly and surely she was climbing the first cliff towards her goals. With a groan, Sakura stood up, removing the last bit of blood from her nose. No doubt Tsunade would guide her through fixing it later. Then her master spiked yet another ball at her. It was going to be a long day. Shadow clone jutsu. Sakura blinked again. It was the same river as before. She was still wearing Naruto's clothes and Naruto was standing in front of her. But why was she here again? Damn it. Why do you keep trying to prank me? It won't work and it's not funny. Besides, you're nowhere near as cute as the real Sakura. Naruto walked over and poked her hard in the shoulder. Sakura barely had enough time to realize that another ball was flying towards her. She didn't have time to dodge. Reflexes kicked in. She snared the ball with her arms, drawing it into her chest. Had the ball been thrown by a shinobi more her strength, it would have been a clean catch. But this was thrown by her master. A clean catch was a bad idea. The ball picked her up and ran her all the way into a large tree. The crack that came from the collision was so loud that she wondered if her spine had broken. She managed to land on her feet at least. Spine was battered and bruised but unbroken. When I said catch this, I didn't mean literally. Tsunade called out from across the clearing. But A for effort. Sakura could only nod. She wasn't entirely certain if she could separate her arms from the ball. Instead, she squeezed it tighter, unwilling to let ball have a single inch to move and inflict more damage on her. With legs that wobbled like noodles, Sakura walked forward. Thank you, master. Tsunade seemed to cross the distance in an instant, catching Sakura before she fell forward. Alright, I think that's enough for today. We'll be doing the rest of your training now. That meant one thing: books, books and more books. There was even a book about the books. Shadow Clone Jutsu. This time Sakura was ready. It was the same place as before, with her wearing the same clothes. This time she was going to find Naruto and beat the answer out of him. Only there wasn't just one Naruto this time. Ha, I just have to make more clones and then you won't show up. One of the Naruto said, sticking his tongue out at her. Something about him felt different than the other Narutos. He must be the original. Honestly, you should just listen here, idiot. Sakura lunged for him, grabbing Naruto by his collar, and pulling him inches off the ground. I have no idea what's going on or why I'm here. Or why I keep disappearing. So you better start explaining right now. Wait, you're not a clone. Naruto's eyes went wide as a familiar panic set in when he realized Sakura was mad at him. Sakura, what are you doing here? How are you here? Why do I keep making you? Sakura grit her teeth in anger. Her mother said if she kept doing that she'd wreck her teeth, but Naruto just forced her to do it. She should charge him for getting her teeth fixed. That's what I want to know, idiot. And why can't I remember what happened before either? Naruto struggled, kicking his feet slightly. The fact that it was all an act fueled Sakura's irritation. He could easily break free from her grip or have his clones help her. And apparently, he could make her disappear whenever he wanted. With a snarl, she threw him onto his. I don't know, okay. Naruto mumbled, sitting up into a cross-legged position. It was his thinking pose. He scratched the back of his head and squinted his eyes. Just when I make clones you kept appearing and you disappeared like clones. So I thought you were a clone pulling a prank on me or something. Why would your clones do that? They're literally you. Idiot. She barked, pinching her nose in frustration. This was just her luck. You sure you're Sakura? You a lot meaner than her. A quick glare cut that thought from Naruto's tongue. Anyways, I don't know. I guess I thought my clones would do that because I missed you or something. Sakura groaned and stomped her feet in frustration. She did not like the sound of this at all. Was she just some figment of Naruto's imagination? No, that wasn't right. She had memories of Ino, and plenty of other times where Naruto wasn't there. And if she was, then she'd probably be all over Naruto, some bullshit like that. Why would you miss me? Naruto shrugged and smiled up at her, grabbing both of his feet as he leaned slightly to one side. Well, it's just that when I think about Konoha, I get excited about coming back in 3 years to see how strong and awesome you've become. A lot stronger than you'll be, that's for sure. Sakura snorted, looking away from Naruto to hide the light blush on her face. She turned to see another Naruto smiling at her. This was one of the few times Naruto had made her flush. Even if she knew it wasn't earned, it still felt good to be praised. What are you even doing out here? Hey, brat. A loud boisterous voice called from above the bank. Sakura turned to see Jiraiya walking over from the inn. He had a curious look on his face that was a combination of amused, happy, and a scowl. That doesn't look like the training I told you to do. It's not my fault. Naruto whined loudly from his sitting position. Pointing an accusatory finger at Sakura, he stood up, glaring at his teacher. She showed up and I got distracted. Pride filled Jiraiya's face and even his back straightened at this. Oh, oh, got yourself a girlfriend, do you? Well, I can't say I'm surprised. You spent enough time around me that some of my moves must have rubbed off on you. It was then that Jiraiya really looked at Sakura. It was only a glance, then the old man frowned. Isn't she your girlfriend from Konoha? What's she doing all the way out here? And wearing your clothes no less. That's what I want to know. Sakura shouted before Naruto could speak, going so far as to slap her hand over Naruto's mouth before he said something stupid. And I'm not his girlfriend. That was a statement that would be true until the end of time. Nothing was going to change that fact, and nothing ever would. As surely as the sun would rise, so too would Sakura Haruno never be Naruto's girlfriend. Whatever you say, girlie, now do you want to explain to me what's going on? Jiraiya asked, looking at Sakura and the still muzzled Naruto. You sure you two aren't dating? We're not. Sakura growled as if to prove her point. She let go of Naruto and pushed him to the side roughly. Now look, I don't know why I'm here, but for some reason whenever the idiot uses his clone jutsu I appear. Jiraiya looked between the other two Narutos that stood side by side each other, then back at Sakura. So you're the first clone he makes. Has he tried dispelling you? He got rid of me twice. Sakura sent Naruto a dark glare. It was a weird feeling suddenly not existing. She was aware that time passed when she came back, but at the same time she didn't know what happened in between. I see. Jiraiya nodded into his hand and closed his eyes in thought. Do you know what's causing this? What would happen to her if he did? She was just a clone. If Jiraiya knew whatever was causing this and he fixed it, would she never exist? Would she even know that she didn't exist anymore? Jiraiya interrupted Sakura's existential crisis with the snap of his fingers. I got it. I know what's going on. You do? Sakura asked, both fearful and hopeful. Yep. Jiraiya crossed his arms and nodded to himself. What is it? Naruto asked before Sakura had a chance to yell. With a flair for the dramatic, Jiraiya opened his eyes and looked right at Naruto. Weird stuff happens around Naruto all the time. So this is just more weird stuff. One moment she stood there staring at the person that was supposed to be a great ninja, capable of becoming Hokage. The next had him by the collar of his shirt, shaking him like a flag caught in a windstorm. What's that supposed to mean? How does that help me? He grabbed her arm. And then nothing. Pain racked Sakura's attention away from the book Tsunade had given her. Well, she hadn't been given it specifically. Her master had simply pointed at the wall and said, get to work. It was on Sakura to figure out what order to read the books in. She glared at the page, vaguely aware that she hadn't turned it in what must have been minutes. She had been daydreaming again. It had been her fault this time. The weird daydreams she had during her physical training with Tsunade had been in the back of her mind constantly. This is why the last one was so much longer than the first two. That and not being assaulted by her master. But why Naruto, and why do I keep thinking that I'm a clone of him? Sakura leaned back and stared at the ceiling. The orange light of dusk filled in through the windows, casting a dull glow on everything. Her hand brushed against a plate, a dinner set out for her by Shizune, no doubt. It was getting late. She could go home and get some rest. Or she could do what Naruto and Sasuke would do, and train until she couldn't train anymore. Even if it is just reading books. Sakura grabbed a cold bite of her dinner. She'd have to thank Shizune for it later and resumed her studies. Hopefully that's the last daydream I have for a while. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Sakura found and grabbed Naruto before her sight returned to her. Did you just dispel me? He was wet and dressed in a light blue bathrobe. She was no longer outside. The room they were in was bathed in a pale moonlight. Sorry. That was Jiraiya. He wanted to see if we were telling the truth. Naruto's eyes drifted down and his face turned red even in the pale light. His head snapped wide to the side, desperately trying not to look at her. She was wearing a blue bathrobe just like Naruto's. It was loose around the chest. Sakura dropped Naruto like he was a hot potato. Clutching her knees, she glared at the blonde. How much did he see? Oh God, if she wore what he was wearing, he could see everything just by not wearing clothes. You jerk. It's not my fault. Naruto sat up, refusing to meet her glare for more than a moment. His face looked as red as hers felt. I just wanted to see if you wanted something to eat or to take a bath. Do your clones normally get hungry? Sakura glared at him. There was no way that clones got hungry. Naruto was just being a perverted idiot. Yeah, and they're really annoying too. Plus, if they get super hungry, they go away. Sakura glared harder at Naruto for making her feel like an idiot. It wasn't her fault, she didn't know how his stupid clones worked. Thanks, but I'm not hungry, and I don't feel dirty either, Sakura grumbled. This could all be an elaborate plan for Naruto peek on her. He was probably too stupid to realize how easy it would be to see her. Sure, but don't you girls like to relax in the bath or something? I promise not to peek, honest. There he went, promising again. But he wasn't wrong, a bath did actually sound good. Sakura sighed as she felt the bathwater surround her body. It was so nicely warm, scented too. A few candles were lit around the edges to give a soothing light, no doubt extra effort Naruto had put in for her sake. It was a fantastic way to get on her good side, all things considered. Hey, Sakura. Naruto's voice carried through the door as clear as a bell. Sakura let out a different kind of sigh. This one was harsher than the one that she had let out just moments ago. She supposed that she wouldn't be able to relax for real until they figured out what was going on. What is it, Naruto? I just wanted to, ask you how you're doing and see if you remember anything more. She could practically hear him fidgeting, no doubt freaking out that he was talking to a girl. Sakura brought her knees up to her chest, resting her head on them as she stared in the direction of Naruto's voice. I don't really know. I remember your promise, and I remember you coming back hurt, but beyond that, it gets kind of clouded, but the further back I go, the clearer the memories are. The only exception was what happened earlier. It was like a chunk of her memory had been put through a cipher. Well, nothing much really happened after that. We went out for ramen the day before I left, and then well, nothing much after that happened. You said that you'd get stronger too, then we'd go get Sasuke together. I'm glad. Sakura smiled for what felt like the first time. I suppose if there's one good thing about all this, it's that I get to make sure you're not slacking off. Hey, I trained all day today. Naruto stood up in his outburst. I even got all muddy and wet because of it. Oh, and what training was that? Sakura snorted. Looked to me like you were just going to goof off in the river. Hey, Naruto whined. The pervy sage said that I should work on my chakra control, so he had me try to make the Rasengan while standing on the water. It wasn't easy, but eventually I got the hang of it. Impressive. Sakura wasn't entirely certain if it was. So what kind of training is Jiraiya making you do besides that? It's all over the place. Sometimes it's strength training, other times chakra control, most of the time we're playing chess or something like that. He said he isn't going to teach me any cool jutsu, just how to. She could feel the frown in his voice as he trailed off. How to? Sakura prompted. I want it to be a surprise, yeah. Sakura rolled her eyes and relaxed back into the tub. It better not be anything perverted. Naruto went silent then and left Sakura to her thoughts. She relaxed into the bath feeling far more tired than she had a right to feel. The warm waters calling her to sleep. Her eyes closed. When she had gotten home, Sakura had thought long and hard about gathering the energy to draw herself a nice warm bath. But when she got home long after the summer sun had set, she didn't even have the will to shower and simply flopped onto her bed, too tired to even undress. She stared at her ceiling for the longest time. The latest daydream had left her feeling wonderful, like she had actually taken the bath that Naruto had prepared for her. It was a rather sweet gesture, almost sweet enough for her to forgive him for staring at her chest. No sense in getting mad at Naruto for something that didn't really happen though, Sakura mumbled to herself, waiting for sleep to claim her so she could do all of this again tomorrow. hopefully with less freaky daydreams. Frigid water poured burst onto Sakura's still sleep-ridden form. It shocked her awake faster than any cup of tea. She had abandoned any hope of taking a warm bath while under Tsunade's tutelage. It grossed her out to no end going to bed dripping with sweat. But her mind and body were often too weak to even consider the extra effort of drawing a bath. A warm bath, huh? Sakura frowned against the water as it splashed down on her face. It was either getting warmer or she was getting used to the temperature. The daydream of Naruto drawing her a bath was still fresh in her mind. She felt refreshed like it had really happened. She was clean enough once the water was finally just about to become comfortably warm. She debated spending an extra minute in the shower, just enough to feel the warmth. But her day needed every precious minute she could get. Sakura stared at the path towards the Hokage's tower. The first tendrils light from the rising sun just barely illuminated the stone faces of the Hokage. They would begin work on putting her master's face up there by the end of the month. With a slight stretch, Sakura began her early morning run towards the Hokage's tower. Tsunade wouldn't be awake for another few hours, but Shizune would be up soon enough. Besides, she had a lot of reading to do. Konoha was a vastly different place in the early morning. It was just as lively as it was during the day, but it was a different kind of life, filled with ninjas of all ranks milling about getting ready for various missions, or starting with their training. Good morning, Kakashi's youthful student. Might Guy shot past her. On his hands. Backwards. Good morning, Sakura. You're as beautiful as ever. Lee followed in his beloved sensei's steps with just as much vigor. Sakura could only shake her head as the pair ran down the main street of Konoha, already far out of earshot. She had to admit what those two could do was impressive. Even if their methods were a bit extreme. Guys. Wait up. Sakura turned to see a sweat-soaked Tenten come running up to her side. The poor girl looked ready to collapse at any second. Tenten fell into stride beside Sakura, taking deep even breaths. It irritated her slightly that Tenten's resting pace matched her training speed. Still, it was her own fault. She felt every time she put off training with each step. Decided to join them this morning, Tenten. The girl looked at her in disbelief. I join them every morning. This is just the first time I've been able to keep up with them. I know the feeling. Sakura muttered in between ragged breaths. Tenten must have heard the bitterness and regret that seeped out with those words, as she stepped away from Sakura. Anyways, I better get going or I'll lose them again. Good luck on your training with Tsunade. Sakura frowned as Tenten sped past her, desperate to keep up with her own teammates. The window was positioned perfectly to catch and disperse the early morning sun so that its biting glare was now a comfortable light, ideal for reading. Two tranquil pools of water flanked either side of a massive desk. The walls were lined with book upon book of medical knowledge. This was her master's sanctuary, a place for study and preparation. Only 3 people had unrestricted access to this room: Tsunade, Shizune, and herself. She had 3 years to read every book in the room. She dragged her fingers along the spine of each book until she reached the last book she read. A volume detailing the various poisons found in and around the desert. The next few were likely filled with procedures and cures on the poisons as well as their practical uses in small doses. Resolving herself to get at least 2 books completed by the time she went to find Tsunade for training, Sakura went to work. She absorbed the information ravenously, for once grateful for her massive forehead and her bookworm nature. Who knew being a nerd would be useful? The final page turn of the book marked her time to seek her master for more direct training. Her muscles were still sore from yesterday. Actually, she was fairly certain they were still sore from her first training session with Tsunade. Everything else just added onto it until her every muscle twinged with a dull ache. Slapping some resolve into her cheeks, Sakura stood up and returned the book to its spot, doing her best not to look at the entire wall. Instead, she focused on the next book in line. Remember the goal, but focus on what's in front of you. She opened the door and came face to face with her master. The closeness was such that Sakura nearly fell over backward to avoid actually hitting her master. Not that Tsunade would have budged at Sakura crashing into her. Ah, there you are, Sakura. How goes the reading? Tsunade's heels clicked on the stone floor like the thunder of an approaching storm. Sakura winced as she prepared herself for the no doubt grueling training Tsunade had in store for her. Yes, I managed to finish the first volume of the Desert Poison Case Studies. I see, Tsunade mumbled and walked over grabbing the volume off the shelf. And what did you think of the case with the Nerium oleander? That one confused me. Nerium oleander causes cardiac arrest, true, but it does not cause lung paralysis or motor weakness. That got Tsunade's interest. It even brought a smile to her master's face. Unwilling to lose her momentum, Sakura continued, grabbing the poisonous plant book. I think that the report meant to mention aconitum. Its symptoms include heart and lung paralysis, which could cause a cardiac arrest given certain conditions. She presented the book to Tsunade, pointing to the entry on aconitum. Impressive. Tsunade smiled and placed the book back into its spot. But what if I told you that the person writing did indeed think that the poison was from the Nerium oleander? Sakura frowned and placed a finger to her lip. Then, they probably got the wrong diagnosis. Had they checked if it was aconitum toxin, the patient likely would have survived. A dark gleam appeared in Tsunade's eyes that sent a shiver up Sakura's spine. And what if I told you that I was the one to write that report? Then, Sakura trailed off. Could she really say that her master was wrong? That the person that taught her had made such an oversight? No, she could. If she was going to surpass Tsunade, then she needed to correct the mistakes her master made. Then I still believe that you made an incorrect diagnosis. Tsunade let out a kind laugh and smiled at Sakura. Good, you have the backbone, but it'd be pointless for me to teach you if you couldn't think for yourself. Why's that? Well, if you did everything I told you without thinking for yourself, you'd be just like me, making my same mistakes. Tsunade walked to her desk, trailing her hands along its wooden surface. Good medics do what they're told and how they're told. Great ones think for themselves. Sakura felt her cheeks burn at the statement. So you think you'll become a great medic then? Her master's look said all that could be said on the matter. Tsunade reached into her desk and pulled out an inkwell and a brush. Now then, I believe that it is time for you to learn my ultimate jutsu. Wait, what? Sakura ran forward, stopping right in front of Tsunade. Her heart was pounding from the praise and now from the revelation that she was going to learn some ultimate technique. Are you serious? We've barely gone over the mystic palm technique. Oh, this isn't like that. Tsunade smiled and tapped the end of the brush against the diamond that was in the middle of her head. Today you'll be starting a long journey that requires absolute perfect chakra control. The end result will be the strength of 100 technique. Sakura felt her throat run dry. The seal was the source of Tsunade's great physical strength. Okay, what do I have to do? First, you hold still. Tsunade dipped the brush into the ink. The ink was colder than she thought it would be as it was placed directly in the center of her forehead. Laced with Tsunade's chakra, the simple stroke formed a perfect diamond. From there she began to draw thick a straight line down Sakura's cheek. The 3 rules that govern medical ninja are. The words hammered into Sakura's being as though the chakra-laced lines of ink were staining her very skin with them. The first clause. No medic ninja shall ever stop medical treatment until the lives of their party members have come to an end. She finished the first line just above Sakura's collar. The second clause. No medic shall ever stand on the front lines. The third clause. Tsunade mirrored the first line. No medic ninja shall ever die until they are the last of their platoon. Sakura felt the brush leave her skin and Tsunade's hand on her shoulder. The fourth and hidden clause. Only those medic ninja who has mastered the strength of 100 technique of the ninja art creation rebirth are permitted to discard the above-mentioned laws. A shiver ran down Sakura's spine. She had heard the first 3 laws numerous times. They're repeated on the front page of nearly every medical textbook. They made her question her path. She wanted Naruto and Sakura to stare at her back, not sit on the sidelines waiting for them to get injured. But that final clause gave her a new goal. Master the strength of 100 technique. Now what? The jutsu to activate the seal was a simple one. Simply a string of 3 hand signs to direct the flow of chakra. Now, adjust the levels so that 75% of your chakra is being pushed into the seal, and hold that directing your chakra as it regenerates into the seal. It sounded simple enough. Moving the chakra was the easy part, but being at 1/4 of her regular reserves was painful. Like she was trying to draw breath through a straw after running 10 miles. How long do I have to do this? 3 years. Tsunade's reply was so nonchalant Sakura nearly let her concentration slip. 3 years. Give or take a few days. There's a reason why Shizune was unable to perform this jutsu. I suggest you meditate in here until you can maintain that flow without thinking. With that, her master left her. Sakura couldn't help but let out a whine. How on earth could she be like this for 3 years? What if something happened and they needed her help? She could barely breathe in this state, let alone fight. Remember the goal, but focus on what's in front of you. At least she hadn't had any weird daydreams yet. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Being forced abruptly into existence against her will, Sakura glared at Naruto. The sun was high in the sky and they were in the same spot he had summoned her yesterday. At least she thought it was yesterday. The last thing she remembered was the bath Naruto had made for her. Now the blonde was smiling at her like an idiot. What do you want, Naruto? She let the venom drip off of her words so that Naruto could hear them. Being at Naruto's beck and call was already draining on her soul, and it had only been a single day. She wasn't entirely certain if existing was really worth it. Hi, Sakura. Naruto either didn't notice the contempt she had for him or simply chose to ignore it. It was probably 50-50. Jiraiya told me to take a break while he does his research today, so I wanted to know if you wanted to hang out or something. It wasn't like she had a choice. It was either this or not exist until Naruto needed another clone to do something. Sakura looked down at her clothing. She was still wearing Naruto's outfit. It was loose in places and tight in others. You have money. Yay. Naruto nodded his head eagerly, quickly pulling out his frog wallet. It was as plump as she ever saw it. I made sure to take my whole savings with me on this trip just in case I needed something. Sakura glared at him for a moment. Her eyes drawn to his wallet. Sure. But you're going to buy me some real clothes so I'm not wearing yours. Naruto frowned at his wallet before he smiled at Sakura. Yay. Okay. Sakura examined herself in the mirror. Nothing about her was different than she remembered. Her hair was the same length in her entire body, giant forehead and all was still how she remembered it. Sure, her muscles were a bit more defined maybe. But nothing out of the ordinary. Hey, what's taking so long? Naruto whined from outside the changing room. Hold your horses. Sakura barked and began to put on the few pieces of clothing that were both cute and in her size, a pair of shorts and a red tank top with flowers on it. It wasn't shinobi gear by any standard, but it was better than any of Naruto's clothes. To her delight, she actually looked cute in the outfit. Especially with Naruto's green gemstone necklace around her neck. She had seen the necklace around Naruto's neck before but had never given them much thought, writing them off as just some cheap jewelry Naruto got to try and look cool. But it was actually a lovely gemstone. And it felt important to like the necklace had a history that was great. Almost like she had learned about it as a great treasure or something. She walked out from the changing room still examining the stone. Hey, Naruto, where? She had to stop when Naruto looked at her, his mouth slightly opened and a blush was on his cheeks. Wow, you look great, Sakura. Cha, tell me something I don't know. Her bravado suppressed the blush that threatened to worm its way up onto her cheeks. Naruto, if nothing else, was a boon to her wavering ego. Naruto's face twisted in confusion as he tried to think about something. Oh, I know, the Rasengan was made by the 4th Hokage. Are you really trying to tell me something I didn't know? Naruto nodded his head, pleased with his random fact. And I already knew that. She didn't really. Anyways, Sakura held up the necklace so that Naruto could see it. What's with this? Where'd you get it? Naruto smiled and pulled out his own necklace, the original. The old lady gave this to me. Master gave this to you? Sakura asked as she inspected the original in more detail. Hers was nearly identical to Naruto's in terms of appearance, but Naruto's had something a quality that couldn't be measured or identified. Master? Naruto asked. Who's your master? Sakura froze. Did she really say, master? It just came out that way. What? I didn't say, master, I said Lady Tsunade. You're just hearing things. Naruto frowned at her. Anyways, Sakura began letting Naruto's necklace drop, and backed away from Naruto, intent on hiding her blush. You said Lady Tsunade gave it to you. What for? Oh, yeah, she gave it to me after I won the bet for learning the final stage of the Rasengan in a week. She said that she only gave it to people she believed would become Hokage one day. So I'm going to keep it on until I become Hokage. Sakura smiled as they exited the store, folding her arms behind her back. Sure does seem like you have a bunch of people rooting for you to become Hokage. Yay. Naruto scratched the back of his head. It feels good. Sakura drew herself tall and squared her shoulders. Well, if you want to become Hokage, you're going to have to go through me. It was a joke, of course. There was no way that she would ever become Hokage even if she wanted to. What? You want to become Hokage too? Naruto stumbled backward and stared at Sakura wide-eyed. Sakura smiled and shrugged her shoulders. Well, yay. Why not? You remember what Kakashi said, right? With my chakra control, I was the one closest to becoming Hokage. Hey brat, there you are. Before Naruto could respond, Jiraiya came running up to them, a desperate look on his face. Get your stuff, we're leaving right now. Huh? Why? Naruto whined. Don't ask questions, brat. Jiraiya walked over to Sakura and tapped her forehead. The last thing she saw was a horde of love-struck old ladies swarming down the street after Jiraiya. She nearly lost control of the chakra flow when the most recent daydream appeared into her mind. But she managed to correct the error with renewed effort. The effect also knocked her out of the deep focus she was feeling for the first time, the soreness of sitting on the hard stone all day and the hunger of a missed lunch. It felt like her mind was suddenly split into two, the conscious part of her that was aware of everything, and the subconscious part of her that was still directing the flow of chakra. Tentatively, Sakura withdrew her control of the chakra, ready to seize control of it the moment it slipped again. It didn't waver, the steady stream flowed in a shallow rut of her mind towards the seal. With a deep breath, Sakura stood up. The room was dimly lit now, cast in the shadows of the coming evening. Oh, no, did I cause you to lose concentration? Shizune said as she entered the room. A steaming tray of food made Sakura's mouth water. She honestly didn't hear Shizune open the door. I was just bringing you some food for when you got hungry. No, not at all. Sakura shook her head. I think I got it down. A look of disbelief appeared on Shizune's face before the polite woman managed to press it down with a concerned smile. Are you certain? Would you like me to check? Can I eat first? Shizune nodded and sat the tray down on Tsunade's desk. With her fingers on Sakura's forehead where the chakra was being gathered and on both of her temples, Shizune prodded Sakura's chakra network. A gasp escaped her. You actually did it. You're amazing, Sakura. It took me weeks of trying to get the flow to continue while I walked, and Tsunade said that it took her days, but you only took a few hours. No wonder my lady has high hopes for you. Sakura blushed, partly because of Shizune's compliment, but mostly because she realized half the plate was already eaten. What happened to your mark? If that's okay, that is. Shizune sighed. Don't worry, I'm not upset about it anymore. I just couldn't keep it up. Even after I got the flow going, without needing to hold its hand, the slightest change in my chakra would make it go out of control. I nearly lost my life on the second attempt. Since then I decided that the technique simply wasn't for me. Oh, I see. Sakura mumbled into another bite of food. There was no way to respond to that without sounding apathetic. Thanks for the food, by the way. You're welcome, as apprentices have to stick together. Shizune smiled and gave Sakura a tight shoulder hug. Now, I should let Tsunade know about your progress. You're going to have a busy day tomorrow. Sakura groaned. You mean I have to train like this? Don't worry, the first day of it is the hardest. Why did she feel like Shizune was lying? This isn't going to be some kind of a motivational thing where you'll say that the second day is the hardest and then the third and the fourth until it's day 81 and I'm used to it, is it? What? No, how'd you know? Shizune failed to conceal her embarrassment behind flailing hands. Sakura smiled. We read the same book, Hole's right. Shizune frowned and hung her head in shame in much the same way Naruto did when he realized how stupid he was being. Or one of the few moments he actually felt embarrassed by his own actions. Yay. Hey, did Lady Tsunade give Naruto a necklace? She had been meaning to ask ever since Shizune walked into the room. That daydream felt so real. She knew Naruto had the necklace, but there was no way that her master gave it to him. It was probably just some cheap souvenir. She gave him her grandfather's necklace, Shizune said with a small smile. Partly because he won the bet to complete the Rasengan in a week, but also because she believes he'll become Hokage someday. Just like in her daydream. Naruto must have told her about it and then she forgot. Yay, that was it. He seems to be getting all kinds of people to believe in him. Shizune nodded in agreement. What about you? Do you believe in Naruto? Yay. Sakura said without thinking. I suppose I do. Still, the idea of her becoming Hokage was freshly tilled into the fertile soil of her mind. Training grounds had a serenity about them in the early morning. The rising sun warmed her body, while the chill morning air and damp dew-laden grass cooled her off in equal measures. The hot and cold soothed her aching, everything. It had been a week since she had started channeling her chakra, and she still felt like shit. How on earth was she supposed to do anything like this? It was barely 15 minutes into what Shizune had dubbed a light early morning workout. Come on, Sakura, this is nothing like what Naruto does in the morning. Or at least what she daydreamed he did in the morning. For the past couple days, her daydream had been boring of watching Naruto in the morning, waking up Jiraiya, hearing an excuse or some generic orders, and watching Naruto train some more. It was all rather disappointing. And annoying. In her daydreams Naruto would summon her, then she'd have to go hide behind a tree, or if he remembered to summon her next to a building, find a safe place to change out of Naruto's clothing and into her own. Sakura ran a tired hand through her sweat-soaked hair, noting that she was getting close to needing another haircut. With a groan she pushed herself off the post she had been resting on and resumed her workout. She still had time before Tsunade woke up. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Sakura glared at the grinning blonde that was all too happy to have her around. He was like an overeager puppy that was just happy because he was happy. She refused to let him infect her with his happiness. She was in the middle of an existential crisis. Good morning, Sakura, Naruto said, handing Sakura her clothes. She acknowledged him with a grunt. Her clothes felt softer than before. She eyed Naruto up and down as he just smiled at her. Did you wash my clothes or something? Naruto nodded, clearly pleased with himself. Yay, you said they were dirty yesterday, so I did laundry. The idea of Naruto handling her clothes every day was still an alien one that didn't quite sit right with her. Sure, it was better than him just leaving the clothes she was wearing on the ground and forcing her to wear his clothes. But this was Naruto. And now he had washed her clothes. Like they were lovers or something. It was just wrong. Thanks, I guess, now turn around and close your eyes. Naruto complied to her demands by covering his eyes with his hands for extra insurance. Sakura sprinted a large tree and glared at Naruto's back to make certain he wasn't going to peek. She really should give him more credit, he hadn't tried anything yet. Especially with how delicate her situation was. Okay, Naruto, you can turn around now. She closed the distance between them and gave a helpless shrug. Time for another boring day of watching Naruto train. It wasn't like she could train as a clone, or do anything remotely productive. What are you doing today? Why did it sound like she was going to ask him on a date? This was Naruto. Naruto. Naruto shrugged a frown on his face. The pervy sage wants me to work on chakra control on my own for a bit. He'll be here later though. Sakura groaned, rubbing the bridge of her nose in frustration. What on earth was Jiraiya doing? How was this going to help Naruto become strong enough to bring Sasuke back? He was just leaving the boy to his own devices. That's what they did in the academy, and that turned out so well for Naruto that he failed all 3 tests. It'd be better off if she trained Naruto herself. At least that way he'd have some guidance. Even if he was technically stronger than her, she could think of some way to make Naruto stronger. Hey, Naruto. She couldn't believe she was about to do this. What on earth was she doing? Naruto always paid attention to when she explained stuff. Hell, if Iruka had any sense, he would have made her tutor Naruto during the academy. How about you let me train you? Huh, how can you train me? Naruto's confusion stung at her weakness. The fact that she was indeed weaker than him in just about every aspect, and yet she was offering to train him. Bravado took over. What, you don't think I'm good enough? What? No. That's not what I meant, Sakura. Stuff it, Naruto. Sakura growled, taking a step back. Her entire body felt restless. Ready to fight and prove herself. Just like when she fought Ino. Sure, she might be weak. But she'll show Naruto just what she can do. Me and you are going to spar. So get ready. 3. She dropped into a combat stance. Wait. Naruto shouted, desperately trying to take his jacket off before they started. 2. Her mind cleared, her muscles tensed with a strength that wasn't there before. Naruto dropped into his stance, looking unsure of the situation. 1. A deep breath to calm herself. Naruto's footwork was sloppy. She had a longer reach than him, he had more strength and endurance, speed was up in the air. A single hit against her would make the end of the spar. Go. Her plan of attack was ready. Charge in, catch Naruto before he was prepared, aim for right leg, knock him off balance. Follow up with open palm thrust to the chest, forcing arms wide. Grab wrist. Use momentum, throw Naruto onto the ground. Avoid counter attack, faster than expected, forced to overcompensate, on defensive now. Dodge right hook, dodge high kick into low kick. Counter with knee to the face. Take advantage while Naruto is stunned. Left hook, unexpected, forgot Naruto's toughness. Solid hit, pain, nothing. Sakura placed a hand on her cheek where Naruto had hit her clone in the daydream, feeling tendrils of pain along her jaw. Just as quickly as it appeared, the pain vanished, leaving only the soreness of the morning's training. Even in my dreams, I can't beat Naruto. Every day it was becoming harder to believe that they were just daydreams. They felt so real as any memory she had. And they were all the same, never repeating day by day. Nothing in the psychology book she glanced at gave any clue into how daydreams differed. But they weren't supposed to be sequenced, not like a coherent retelling of a day. Besides, what kind of back-as-swords idea was it for her to train Naruto? They were entirely different shinobi. He had a giant chakra reserve and had the subtleness of a typhoon. She had the finesse of a hummingbird and the reserves of one. How on earth can I train Naruto? Realization dawned with the sharpness of a freshly peeled scab, revealing the fading memory in her mind. Long ago, when they were in the wave on their first real mission, Naruto had come to her for help. He had asked her to help him become stronger because she could do something that he could not. What was it that Iruka said about heaven and earth? That they needed balance to become a strong shinobi. Naruto was earth, she was heaven. They balanced each other out. Together they could become stronger faster than on their own. Not much point thinking on it. It's just a stupid little dream after all. She was having such a hard time believing what she was saying. There was something weird going on with Naruto and his shadow clones, and part of her was stuck in the middle of it. Yo, Kakashi said nonchalantly as they passed each other on the street. Sakura stood. She hadn't even seen her sensei. And what was with that greeting? She was his student, a member of Team 7. Of Team Kakashi. And all she got was a yo. She brushed her anger aside. She was going to be late if she had to deal with her sensei today. Wait. Kakashi knew the shadow clone jutsu. Made. He could dismiss the crackpot theory she was starting to believe. Kakashi sensei. Sakura ran after him despite her muscles groaning in protest. Her sensei sighed and looked at her with the same thrilling exasperation he did when somebody was going to ask something annoying from him. A look he normally gave to Naruto when her teammate was bugging him for a new jutsu. What is it, Sakura? Is there something odd about the shadow clone jutsu? Kakashi blinked at that, no doubt expecting idle chit-chat or perhaps a request that required more energy. Odd? What do you mean odd? Sakura brushed the bit of hair that had fallen out of place behind her ear and shrugged. Well, like, stuff that Naruto doesn't use them for. They can't just be for distractions or overwhelming your opponent. Actually, they take too much chakra to be used the way Naruto does it. Kakashi mused, tapping on his chin. The shadow clones were originally designed to be used as scouts. Scouts? But if they got caught, all it takes is one hit and all that information is gone. That's not true. You see, when a clone vanishes, the original receives its memories. Kakashi's speech slowed down towards the end as though he was just realizing something. Sakura, I do believe you've given me an idea. Sakura nodded. If the user received the memories of the clone, then that only added fuel to her theory that her daydreams weren't daydreams. Me too, Kakashi-sensei, thank you. She spun on her heel and ran towards the Hokage building while her mind raced. If the original received the memories, then it would make sense that she would receive the memories of her own clone. But not how Naruto was summoning a clone of her. She was the original, yet he was the replicator. No, it still doesn't make any sense. Sakura shook the thought from her head as she ran down the final street to the Hokage's office. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto stood in front of her holding, his nose as blood leaked from it. A small bit of pride flushed over Sakura at the sight of the injury she inflicted upon Naruto. Serves you right, I got 3 hits in before you got 1. Now, are you willing to let me train you? I didn't think you were weak, Naruto wheezed out, trying to hold back the tide of red that was pouring down his face. I just wanted to know how you were going to. He was cut short as a bubble of blood burst from his nose. Sakura rolled her eyes. Here, let me see it. Without a conscious thought, Sakura took Naruto's face in her hands and twisted it to get a better look at the damage. Then her hands acted on their own, they moved towards the nose and began to heal him. She knew what she was doing. She was healing Naruto's broken nose. But the how was another story. She never learned how to do this. She had never done this before. For a few speechless moments, she just stared as she corrected Naruto's nose. I didn't know you could do that. Naruto rubbed his nose to make sure it was attached properly. Sakura stared at her hands in confusion as though they weren't her own. What on earth was happening to her? Was the real her learning how to do this? Why didn't she know what was going on? She looked at Naruto and nodded. I didn't either. Well, it's still awesome. Naruto grabbed her hands and began to shake them up and down, jumping as he did. You're just like the old lady or Shizune. Let go of me, you dork. Sakura snapped her hands back from Naruto and glared at him. Somehow this was all his fault. She just knew it. It wasn't like she was summoning a clone of herself. That'd be a normal thing, but no, this was Naruto. Jiraiya was right. Weird stuff just happened around him for no good reason. Naruto took a step back and rubbed the back of his head with a wide smile on his face. Sorry Sakura. I just got excited. I feel like this is a preview of how much more awesome you're going to be when I get back. Sakura felt her hair stand up when Naruto said those words. Normally compliments from Naruto were cheap and barely worth the time of day. Or did she just never really notice their worth until now? Either way, it was just Naruto. It wasn't like Sasuke called her pretty or anything. Whatever, idiot. Now get into the water while I get dressed. I have an idea of how to train you. The chill water felt wonderful on her feet, just enough to cool her off from the standard land of fire summer heat. It was one of the few moments she had to appreciate just how beautiful her home country was. She'd rarely been outside of it, but there was something wonderful about the green trees climbing up rolling mountains like waves of the earth. With a long stretch feeling the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the river, Sakura let out a content sigh. And then she looked at Naruto and frowned. He was standing shirtless, staring and smiling at her. She wasn't even wearing a bikini or anything, revealing just her normal clothes. Why are you staring at me? 'Cause you're pretty. It was almost flattering in a creepy kind of way. Sakura shook her and frowned again. Right, well, listen up, Naruto, 'cause I don't want to repeat myself. Naruto slapped his arms down to his sides and stood at full attention. Yes, Sakura-sensei. Don't call me that. Sakura growled. It made her feel old. She was only 13, damn it. Way too young for anybody to be calling her sensei. Anyways, you know how when you want to walk on the water you have to keep a constant flow going that's able to keep up with the water moving. Naruto nodded. Yay, it took me a while before I got the hang of it. Well, today we'll be doing the opposite. Sakura closed her eyes and concentrated on the water. She pulled the water that touched her upwards like a sleeve that went up to her knee. From there she guided it into a small band that swirled half an inch thick around her leg. Instead of trying to keep the water off of you, I want you to try and pull it onto you. Naruto clapped. Alright, just you want, Sakura, I'll get this down in no time. Sakura reached down and touched the band with her hand. The water leapt from her leg to her hand. She balled it into a fist and sent it flying towards Naruto. I wasn't done explaining. The water hit Naruto directly in the face with almost enough force to knock him over. Once you can do it, I want to see how much you can hold on you at once. So go all out. Okay, I'll do it. For an hour Sakura watched as Naruto struggled to even pull the water up to his body. She knew what he was doing wrong, trying to go one part at a time instead of forming a continuous pull up his body to deliver the water to the spot. Pulling another globe of water up around her hand, Sakura guided it across her bare arms as she watched Naruto struggle. He was getting frustrated. He pulled too hard and the water shot up around him, drenching his clothes. She could just tell him what he was doing wrong. A smile broke across her face. But where was the fun in that? Naruto was supposed to be good at thinking on his feet, and besides, she was bored. She pulled several globes of water up her body so that she sleeve of liquid along her left arm. Plenty of ammunition. She let the first one fly. Hey, Naruto. He looked up just in time to get hit in the face with a blast of water. Hey, another ball of water to the face. She always did have a knack for hitting Naruto. Come on, Naruto, are you just going to stand there and taking it? He glared at her as water poured down his face. Unable to take it anymore, a grin broke out on his face. Alright, Sakura, but remember you asked for it. Her response was to throw another ball of water at him. Naruto charged forward, running on top the water into the deeper portions of the river. He came to a skidding stop along the water's surface, spraying Sakura with water. A laugh escaped her as the cool water sprinkled her. Is that all you got, Naruto? Come on, put some chakra into it. She brought her arm down into the water, pulling as much as she could onto her arm and then flung it at Naruto. A miniature tidal wave collided with Naruto, knocking him under. Naruto shot from the water like a dolphin, a trail of water following him straight up into the air, sticking to his arm. Sakura couldn't help but smile. He figured it out. But then she realized the water was still trailing him. It was a lot of water. A stupid amount of water. Like the river was flowing up with him, a reverse waterfall. Naruto, calm down. It was too late. He was already swinging an entire river in her direction. The first few water droplets sprayed down on her. Followed by the impact. She let out an eep. It was a good thing she was a clone and couldn't actually drown. You're thinking about boss, aren't you? Konohamaru all but shouted in her ear, smothering the enjoyment of her last daydream. Sakura glared at the boy. He was every bit as annoying as Naruto in a smaller, more concentrated package. Tsunade had tasked her with being the school nurse today. Apparently, it was within her skill level to treat small things like scrapes and bruises, even sprained ankles. Which was not in short supply at the academy with the kids being kids. Konohamaru seemed to go out of his way making certain she had plenty of work to do. This was his 5th visit to her. He was both her first patient of the day and her last patient of the day. What makes you say that? Sakura mumbled as she inspected his ankle more closely. She already knew it was a small sprain, nothing a bit of chakra couldn't fix. But at the same time, prolonging Konohamaru's suffering might teach the brat a lesson. Konohamaru rubbed his nose and gave her a stupid grin. Well, 'cause he's your. He held out his pinky finger, waggling it in front of her face in a suggestive manner. I'm not Naruto's girlfriend. Sakura groaned out in frustration. Every time she saw Konohamaru or any of his friends, it was always the same thing. No matter how clear she made it, they always called her Naruto's girlfriend. Why do you keep saying I am? 'Cause you make the boss happy. The simplicity and honesty of that statement caught her off guard. For a moment she just stared at the boy who no longer had his cocky smile that was missing a few teeth in it. What makes you say that? It's the way he looks at you. Konohamaru looked incredibly serious for a 9-year-old. With a small smile he explained, my dad looks at my mom the same way. The daydream replayed freshly in her mind, drifting to where Naruto was staring at her. She felt her cheeks warm as she remembered Naruto calling her pretty. For a daydream, she sure was able to get Naruto down into it. And Konohamaru was right, Naruto did look at her in a way. Yay, well, he bugs me. She twisted his foot sharply to one side while channeling chakra into it. There was a loud pop, followed by a yelp of pain from Konohamaru. There, your ankle's better, now leave before I need to heal you again. Konohamaru sprinted off the table with a slight limp. The pain would linger for a bit. Just because you're flat and ugly doesn't mean you have to be so mean. Sakura glared at him, watching as he leapt from the window to join his friends down in the courtyard. You can run, brat, but you can't hide. Sooner or later she would get a hold of that brat and show her just how mean she can be. Damn, brat wouldn't know a cute girl if one hit him in the face. She placed a hand on her chest. Besides, I'm still growing. With a sigh she turned back to the nurse's office, ready to clean up for the day. She paused and examined her glass of water that had been sitting at the desk for a long moment. Curiosity got the better of her. Dipping a single finger into the water, she recalled what she had done in her daydream. The water began to crawl up her skin, it kind of tickled. But more amazing was how simple it was to do. Once the entire glass of water was on her hand, she began to play with it, making it cascade down her fingers like a water only to slide back up the back of her hand. The basics of making the water stick to her was simple enough, but moving it around was much trickier, shaping it into a ball even more so. In theory, it was an amazing and versatile exercise for chakra control. It just lacked a practical application like tree climbing or water walking did. But it was harmless and could even be fun for the younger students. A perfect chakra exercise for Naruto too. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Less water next time, Naruto. Sakura smiled as she appeared, examining the mud hole that now resided where she had once stood. Thankfully Naruto remembered to put his shirt on before he summoned her. Or was it created? Did you find my clothes? Naruto nodded and held up a mud ball that might have once been her clothing. They're kind of dirty. Sakura let out a sigh and frowned. Guess I'll just have to wear your stuff for a little while. Oh, it won't be that long, girly. Jiraiya's voice boomed from behind him. The old man had a small frown on his face. Naruto was supposed to be training, instead I find out that you two have been goofing off. Like you're any better pervy sage, Naruto replied quickly. I bet you were off doing something perverted. Well duh, Jiraiya said, pulling out a notebook and pointing at it. I was doing my research, brat. That set something off in Sakura. Naruto's teacher would rather peek on women, an unforgivable act in of itself, than train Naruto. She marched forward, glaring up at the giant man. What the hell is wrong with you? You tell Naruto what to do and then just leave him to his own devices. That's what he went through in the academy, and he failed 3 times. Naruto is an idiot. He needs somebody to help him. Jiraiya returned her glare without backing down an inch. Naruto, you stay here and get dried off. Girly, come with me. Once they were out of Naruto's earshot, Jiraiya began. Look, I know you're just trying to help your boyfriend. Not my boyfriend. But, you're not helping him the way he needs to be helped. Sakura frowned as she followed behind Jiraiya. Oh, and how's that? Jiraiya spun to face her and placed both hands on her shoulders. Naruto has this amazing ability to think on his feet and come up with weird strategies mid-fight. That's the skill I'm trying to cultivate here. I'm trying to teach Naruto how to figure things out on his own. How is that any different than what happened to him at the academy? Sakura wasn't buying it. As far as she was concerned, Jiraiya was just being a lazy pervert. Still, the man was a Sannin and he did train the 4th Hokage. Simple. I'm giving him a direction, Jiraiya said. Believe me, I know what I'm doing seems weird. And like it might not be helpful right now. 3 years isn't enough time to properly train him. I'm going to have to set up a foundation that will help him grow and become much stronger otherwise. Sakura frowned. It made sense in a way. Kakashi had a similar way of teaching them as a team. But it still didn't feel right. She gave Naruto a direction while she was there and he figured it out on his own because of her. Just like back in the wave. With all due respect, Lord Jiraiya, I'm going to keep helping Naruto. It wasn't like he could punish her, she was a clone after all. Where once the idea of knocking on Tsunade's doors had brought a wave of fear and nervousness onto Sakura that made her palms sweat, there was no a reckless courage that allowed her to simply walk right into the Hokage's office. It had taken a few months, but now most ninja knew her as Tsunade's apprentice. While this didn't bring any respect or admiration, nor any real power, it did allow her freedom to come and go in Tsunade's office as she pleased. On the rare occasion that Tsunade didn't want her there, a swift look was all it took and Sakura would try again later. But this time she found her master in an empty room grumbling over some document. Sakura stepped forward directly in front of Tsunade. After a moment of the woman not noticing, Sakura gave a soft cough. Master. Tsunade waved her hand at Sakura, chewing on the end of a pencil. I know you're there, Sakura. I gave you the day off. So why are you here? She really should be enjoying her day off. They were few and far between. Unfortunately, she had some important matters to attend to regarding her own sanity. Oh, I was just wondering if you have any way of contacting Lord Jiraiya and Naruto. That got Tsunade's attention. Why? How on earth was she supposed to tell her master that she thought that maybe Naruto was somehow creating a shadow clone of her and she was receiving its memories? The truth brought a blush to her face. She averted her eyes from Tsunade's to try and hide any tell of a lie. Well, it's just that I haven't talked to Naruto in a while, and she trailed off, trying to think of what next to say. Tsunade gave a small gasp that turned into a chuckle. She folded her arms above the now forgotten document. Oh, my Sakura, do you have a crush on Naruto now? What? No. Sakura shouted in defiance, feeling her cheeks flare at the accusation. Her master just smiled at her outburst, like the act had basically just screamed that she liked Naruto. With her composure gathered, Sakura rolled her shoulders and stood straight. I don't like Naruto like that. Tsunade leaned back in her chair, smiling at Sakura in a knowing way. She crossed her legs below her desk, the work now long forgotten. Well, then why do you want to talk to Naruto if not to confess to him? She leaned forward, elbows on the table, smiling ear from ear. Oh, I know. It's like in one of the romance books where distance makes the heart fonder and the two fall in love through the letters they send each other. I just want to talk to him. He's my teammate. Sakura crossed her arms and gave her master a small huff. Jiraiya's your teammate, don't you ever want to talk to him? I'm used to it. Tsunade waved her hand at the thought like it was nothing. But as for your question, I don't really have a way of getting in contact with Jiraiya aside from sending out ninja to look for him. But what about if there's an emergency? Or something happens here and they need to come back? What if Naruto hurts himself? She was grasping at straws. A soft laugh escaped Tsunade. Her brown eyes danced with a deep fondness and amusement. Sakura, if there was an attack on the village, Jiraiya would be the first to know about it. He's developed a knack of being around wherever trouble starts up. And it's not like I don't know what's going on, I receive an update every few weeks. And nothing weird has been happening. She took a step forward, placing a hand on her heart. Were there really no mentions of Naruto creating a clone of herself? If there were, why hasn't Tsunade saying anything? Nothing out of the ordinary, Tsunade said in a calm, even voice. She reached into her desk and pulled out a small scroll. What's got you so worked up, Sakura? Sakura shifted on her feet. Great, so there really was nothing. With a sigh, she resigned herself to the truth. Or at least part of it. Well, recently, since Naruto left, I've had a few dreams, 2 or 3 a day, about Naruto, and they have me worried. Ah, Tsunade smiled, placing a hand over her heart in mock passion. Young love is such a wonderful thing. She silenced any protest by throwing the scroll at Sakura. That's Jiraiya's last message, look at it if you want. Nothing weird, just Naruto's progress report and a few bits of info he's gathered. Sakura nodded and had no idea what the scroll was talking about. It seemed more like a love poem than an actual report. I think you gave me the wrong scroll, this one seems like a love letter or something. Tell me about. Tsunade slouched into her chair so that the armrest was up to her elbows. But no, that's just how Jiraiya encrypts his messages to me, but trust me, Sakura, there's nothing weird going on. Naruto is making progress. Good progress, in fact, something about trying a new way to teach the brat. But nothing weird that Jiraiya has mentioned. Relief washed over Sakura. So apparently there wasn't a clone of her showing up to help Naruto train. And the whole thing was just in her head. So she had nothing to worry about. Aside from the fact that she kept having weird daydreams about Naruto. What on earth was wrong with her? Anyways, go rest for the day. Tomorrow we're going to start your real training and you need to be well rested for this. Sakura wanted to cry. Real training? What on earth had they been doing up until now? Yes, master. Gotta make sure you're strong enough to keep your new boyfriend in line now, don't we? He's not my boyfriend. Yet, Tsunade corrected with a sly smile on her face. You have it written all over your face. You can't get Naruto out of your mind, can you? All because of her weird dreams. What about you? I've seen you stare at a photo at Jiraiya when you think nobody's looking. The older woman blushed, her eyes wide. She looked years younger. A soft chuckle sent a chill up Sakura's spine. You really should go rest up, my dear apprentice. I've got quite the day planned for you. Sakura exited the room quickly. So, there was nothing about a clone of me in any of Jiraiya's progress reports. Despite the fact that they were encrypted. Sakura stopped just before the stairs, but she didn't actually know that. She had been given a love poem from Jiraiya, that much was true. But why would Naruto's progress report be encrypted? Sure, he was the apprentice of a Sannin, but her own progress had been on display from day one with several of the smaller villages. She was known as the Hokages, Lady Tsunade's apprentice by several delegations. So why was Naruto's progress hidden? Sakura sighed and shook her head. No, it's probably just how Jiraiya does things. He is our spy master. After all, this was Naruto she was talking about. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto smiled at her, dressed in a blue summer yukata. They were in a clothing that had multiple such items on display on various stands. A confused seamstress stood shocked looking at her and Naruto like they had grown an extra head. What's up to Naruto? He was late for summoning her for their training. And where are we? Oh, we're in Koibito City, and there's this festival going on and the pervy sage said to take the day off and to have fun, and I wanted to ask if you wanted to go to the festival with me, Naruto said breathlessly. Like a date? Sakura asked, raising her eyebrow as a clear danger sign. One that Naruto would no doubt miss. Her blonde companion's eyes went wide like he hadn't had the thought crossed mind. He scratched the back of his head nervously. Are you okay with that? I mean you're a clone, not the real Sakura, a fake. Sakura spat out with frustration that came out of nowhere. Wait, no, it came out of her frustration about what the hell she was. I was going to say in love with Sasuke. Oh. Sakura frowned, tearing her eyes away from Naruto. She hadn't really even thought about Sasuke with Naruto constantly being around her and demanding her attention. There were just a few moments when she was alone that her mind would drift to Sasuke. Oddly enough, his memory didn't have the bite it once had. She closed her eyes and felt her heart beating. A small comfort that she was alive, at least kind of real. Given that her body was so fragile and her existences was linked directly to the whims of Naruto. She needed to take her mind off of this. Okay, sure, I'll go to the festival with you. Naruto's face lit up like the sun. But just as friends. Not as a date or anything. His smile didn't diminish. He pointed to the seamstress with both hands, who still looked really confused. Anyways, this lady owes Jiraiya some favors or something, so she's going to let us borrow some her yukatas for the day. As the woman fitted her for a simple pink and red yukata that complemented Naruto's blue, Sakura couldn't help but smile to herself. Tonight was going to be fun. She spun around for Naruto, his necklace dancing on her neck as a centerpiece for the dress. It had been so long since she had felt this pretty. Not since that day with Sasuke on the bench. Her heart pounded at the memory. Well, what do you think? It looks great on you, Sakura. Naruto half mumbled, staring at all of her. He spoke the words like they were nothing but the simple truth. I really like your hair too, you look great with a ponytail. Sakura brought her hand up to her hair and felt the small ponytail with a smile. She had resolved herself to keep her hair short so that nobody would be able to use it against her. It had been her first step towards taking being a ninja seriously. Thanks, she gave him a practiced smile, pushing a bit of hair behind her ear. He squirmed and blushed under her gaze. She had tried the look on Sasuke several times, he never paid attention to it. But to know that it had power over Naruto was a wonderful thing. It was then that she realized something was off. Naruto, are you taller than me? They stopped in the middle of the road where Naruto looked at her like a confused puppy. Then his smile grew wider. Yay, I think I am, but just a bit. How had she not noticed it before? Sure, she only had an inch on him when she last checked, but she should have noticed that he was now ever so slightly taller than her. And he'd only grow more too. That's great, guess I'll just have to stop calling you shrimp behind your back. You did that to my face too. Sakura simply smiled at him. Don't look so glum, shrimp, we have a festival to explore. It might have been the smells of vendor food, the sound of festivities, or the lights slowly illuminating the city as the sun set on a shining emerald bay, but a rush of joy and excitement rushed over her as she took Naruto's hand without thinking. In a frenzy, they rushed from stall to stall, gathering a variety of festival foods and trying out a variety of the games. Everything was going so perfectly. Hey, Naruto, here, try this. Sakura offered him one of the takoyaki balls. If there was one upside to being a clone, it was that she could literally eat all she wanted and not have to worry about gaining weight or any of that stuff. The food she ate was probably directly turned into chakra. Obediently, Naruto did as he was told and opened his mouth for Sakura to put the sauce-covered ball into his mouth. He chewed slowly, making an unusual face as he did. After a painful eternity, he swallowed. That was great, Sakura. Don't lie to me, Naruto. She waved another ball in his direction before she plopped it down into her mouth. She munched on it happily. I can tell you didn't like it, besides that just means there's more for me. Hee hee. Alright then Sakura. Naruto scratched his head with a smile on his face. Do you think we can get some ramen then? If we find a ramen stand, sure. You're much nicer when you're eating. Sakura bit down on the toothpick and glared at Naruto. Are you saying I'm not nice? What? No, it's just that. Naruto took a step back and bumped into somebody. It was a girl, perhaps a year or two older than them and well on her way to becoming a woman. An inch taller than Naruto, she was by no means tall, but she outclassed Sakura in every aspect. She was prettier than Sakura, her hair was more beautiful than Sakura's, being a darker shade of red, womanly than Sakura. Everything that this woman was, Sakura was not. Oh well, hello, what's a cutie like you doing here? The overly pretty girl practically draped herself over Naruto by touching his shoulder in a kind way that made Sakura's skin crawl. Worse still was when they pulled Naruto with her for a moment. Sakura bit down on another takoyaki ball and glared at Naruto. He was smiling at the girl like he wasn't spending an evening with the girl he had a crush on for years. No, it was totally fine for Naruto to flirt with another girl while she was standing right there. They even shared a meal. And weren't they going to go get ramen soon? Naruto's free to do what he wants and can talk to whoever he wants. Not like I'm alone here or anything. I'm sure there's bound to be a cute guy that'll flirt with me. And she reached for another bite of takoyaki but found that she had eaten them all. Had she really eaten them all without noticing? Naruto's loud laughter echoed through the crowd. She could barely make out what they were saying. Something about pretty, handsome was a word she heard. Oh, and Naruto was blushing. And he was doing that thing where he rubbed the back of his head. He was here with her, damn it. Not some random flousy he happened to bump into. Sakura tightened her fist, crushing the container with a splat. Tossing it into the garbage, she marched over to Naruto and that stupid bimbo. She was probably some air-headed twat that thought Naruto was an easy mark. Hey, Naruto. She added extra sugar to her voice, moving right up beside him and hooking their arms together. Naruto was her teammate, damn it. And no redheaded overdeveloped skank was going to take him away from her. Who are you talking to? She glared at the other girl, the enough vile to start a war. The bimbo's laugh was so sweet Sakura could feel her teeth rotting out. Well, it appears you have nothing to worry about, cutie. Naruto laughed nervously when Sakura tightened her grip on his arm. He swallowed hard. Sakura, this is Futaki, she's the daughter of the daimyo. Sakura didn't care, she'd still cut the bitch. Futaki sighed, either immune to Sakura's glare or so air-headed that she hadn't even noticed. Yes, well, I was just about to invite Naruto up to my father's estate. We have a great view of the bay and the fireworks. The bitch was flirting with Naruto. And the dumbass didn't even know it. Sorry, but Naruto already has plans with me. Spinning on her heels, Sakura dragged Naruto down the road with their arms still locked like lovers. Sakura. Naruto stammered out, trying desperately to keep up with Sakura's aggressive pace. Finally, once they were far away from all the lights and lanterns, did they stop. What's wrong? Nothing, Sakura said, though she knew her tone said that everything was wrong. The more she thought about it, the more it frustrated her. And it wasn't just because of that stupid bimbo. It was, she didn't know what it was, and that made her even more frustrated. Oh, okay, Naruto said slowly as he walked up beside her. Hey, the fireworks should be starting soon. Want to go watch them up there? He pointed towards the top of a hill where a small shrine was located looking over the bay. Sakura just shrugged and pointed at the darkening path before them. Fine. Are you sure nothing's wrong? Sakura chose not to answer that question. She didn't even know what the hell was wrong with her in the first place. Finally, after a long time, Sakura sighed. She was still angry, but that didn't mean she should spoil the night for Naruto. What were you and Futaki talking about? Not a lot. Naruto's blush could be seen as the last tendrils of the setting sun vanished beyond the horizon. He swallowed as his eyes were unable to meet her. Then what did she mean by, "You'll have nothing to worry about"? Oh, well, when I bumped into her, she asked me if I wanted to go out with her. I said that I was here with you, and she started asking questions about us. Us? Sakura asked, narrowing her eyes at Naruto. A futile effort in the growing darkness. She saw Naruto nod his head. Yay. And what did you say? Now it was Naruto's turn to be quiet as they reached the final stretch towards the top of the hill. It didn't make any sense. Why would Naruto refuse a date with a girl that was prettier than her? Not only that she was a daimyo's daughter, that was like a shortcut to having a lavish easy life. Hell, she'd probably accept a date from a daimyo's son if they were more attractive than Sasuke. But, she had a reason to refuse, didn't she? So why didn't you accept her offer? Sakura finally asked, taking the first step out onto the small shrine. She folded her arms on the railing that overlooked the bay, so filled with smaller boats and lanterns it looked like a second sun resided in his depths. I mean, she's rich, she's pretty, she actually likes you. I was with you. Naruto joined her on the railing, far enough apart that another person could comfortably come between them. I'm a clone, you can make me leave whenever you want. Doesn't matter, you're still Sakura. Sakura let out a laugh, running a hand through her hair. Why do you like me so much? Because you're Sakura. Naruto turned to look at her, the pale moonlight illuminating his smile. He spoke the words as though they were just a simple truth. Like he was saying that the sky is blue. When did they get so close? Was she the one that moved, or was he? Did it matter? Their arms were touching now. But why? I'm mean, I'm rude, I'm not really interested in you, I'm not even that pretty. Doesn't matter, Naruto said happily as he turned to face her more directly. There was a bit of hesitation as he reached out towards her to brush a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I just like Sakura, because she's Sakura. And I think you're really pretty too. He paused, biting his lip, his blush all but glowing in the pale moonlight. The lights below them vanished, and a sharp whistle pierced the silence of the ocean. An explosion of royal purple exploded over the bay, turning nighttime into daytime, drawing both their attention away from the conversation. But not for long. Sakura elbowed Naruto gently. And it was rare for her to see Naruto so afraid of something. Sure, he had cowered before her when she was angry several times this week alone. But this was a different kind of fear. They were so close that she couldn't escape it. Naruto leaned forward, placing his lips onto her forehead. Your forehead is so big and beautiful, it makes me want to kiss it. What? Sakura started to laugh. It was an uncontrollable laugh that brought tears to her eyes. It was him. That wasn't just something that sounded like something Naruto would say. It was something that Naruto would say. That was you. Back then on the bench. She laughed out between fits of giggles, tears, and fireworks. Futaki said I should be more honest with you. Naruto scratched the back of his head nervously. But, that was me. Sorry for tricking you. No. Sakura laughed out, still barely able to contain her giggles. Her tears a mixture of laughing too hard and a million other reasons. It made so much sense now that she thought about it. Sasuke talking to her, leaving, come back from a different direction looking for Naruto. Just you have to promise me something. What? When we get back to the village, I want to be there when you tell this to the real me. I want to see the look on my face. She wiped a final tear from her eye as the laughter died, turning back to the impressive display of fireworks. She could feel Naruto's look on her. It made her feel real, like she couldn't vanish at any moment. Yes, sure. With a soft smile, Sakura closed the distance between them, resting her head on Naruto's shoulder, eyes still fixed on the fireworks, and a barrage of pink and orange began to light up the sky. Sakura, Naruto asked after a moment. Shish, don't ruin the moment. Sakura woke up with a start. Her heart pounding for so many reasons as her mind raced to figure out what the hell just happened. Sweat drenched her body, seemed to glisten in the pale moonlight that filtered in through her window. Her hair was even more soaked, clinging to her head like a wet napkin. No, she whispered to herself, pushing a hand through her hair, ignoring the slimy texture as she did. It actually made sense. Like it made a stupid amount of sense, that rare glimpse of Sasuke that she had held onto as who he truly was, a kind, caring individual that looked at her like she was important, was a lie. It wasn't Sasuke that had told her that. It was the stupid boy who she wouldn't have given the time of day back then. It was Naruto. It was so obvious now. There were many theories that claimed that taking one's mind off of something would allow for a problem to be solved quicker. That had to be it, right? Just her mind figuring out something that had apparently been bothering her while she slept. Yay, that's it. But still, Sakura bit her lip and slid out of bed. The bright light from her light flicking on blinded her for a moment. She pulled out an old map and sighed. Koibito City. Koibito City. Large enough to show up on the map, right in the land of rivers where 3 rivers poured into a large bay. Okay, so the city exists, but I could have just remembered it from a geology quiz or something. Pulling out a more detailed map, Sakura wiped the sleep from her eyes. Her mind was wide awake, but her body was demanding sleep. She'd need it for tomorrow as well. Flipping open the map to Koibito City, Sakura's eyes flew towards the hilltop shrine where she and Naruto viewed the fireworks. That doesn't mean anything, it was more a whine than actual words. She stomped her feet, pouting at reality. Why couldn't things just be easy? She read the information blurb about the city. Koibito City, also known as the City of 3 Rivers, is known for its large shipping and fishing operations. Every year during the summer solstice they hold a festival. Her throat went dry. A glance at her calendar confirmed everything. Turning her lights of Sakura flopped back down onto her bed, burying her face into her sweat-soaked pillow. She let out a long muffled scream. She had to tell somebody about this. Sakura. Tsunade spoke her name with a slow teasing tone that made Sakura want to grit her teeth. It's perfectly normal for a teenager to fantasize about their crush. I've done it. Shizune's done it. You don't need to go to such lengths to justify your crush, even if it is on Naruto. I don't have a crush on Naruto. Sakura clenched her fists and ground her teeth with each word. She should have known Tsunade wouldn't believe her. Hell, she barely believed herself. She kept hoping that somewhere along the line she'd find something that didn't match up, and it was just her brain going haywire. She had spent a week gathering evidence, making a believable presentation, studying maps and cross-checking the locations. Everything should have matched up perfectly. And yet it wasn't enough. But why won't you believe me? Well, Shizune began walking over to the map Sakura had painfully tracked Naruto and Jiraiya's journey on. For one, your map is wrong. Sakura ran her finger along the red line connecting all the locations she knew Naruto and Jiraiya had been. They weren't sporadic points on a map. She used geology, weather, landmarks. Every little bit of detail she could gather from her memories were poured onto the map. It made a clear line from Konoha to the last destination, a small town a few days away from Koibito City. Well, Jiraiya's first report came from this location. Shizune marked an area on the opposite side of the continent, near the Land of Iron. She placed another mark heading away from the Land of Rivers where Naruto and Jiraiya were. And then another, and another, making a path that ran along the northern side of the continent. And these were the rest of his reports. Also, Tsunade stood reaching for a folder. If I'm not mistaken, the Land of Rivers daimyo is rather young. Ah, yes, he's only 24, far too young to have a daughter about your age. Says here he isn't even married. But, Sakura could feel her world crumbling. She was so certain about this. To have holes poked into her hours of late-night work, that could have been put to actually resting, so easily it made her feel like fainting. Additionally, the clone would have all of your memories as well, not just things like healing. Tsunade closed the gap between them, placing a hand on Sakura's shoulder while the other grazed her temple. If it didn't, then that would be a sign of a splintered mind, something very dangerous and easy to detect. Sakura felt the warm glow of Tsunade's chakra pass through her head, like a cool summer breeze on a sunny day. Her thoughts became clearer and that small headache she had vanished. And I can tell you your mind isn't damaged in any way. Hell, if it was, you'd have problems getting out of bed, let alone doing your training. Tsunade placed both hands on Sakura's shoulders now and gave them a gentle squeeze. But we do need to talk about your strength of 100 seal. Either through Tsunade's healing chakra or the serious tone of her master's voice, Sakura stopped thinking about her clone and Naruto and focused on Tsunade. What do you mean? Did I mess it up? No, not quite. Tsunade brought her finger up to where the diamond would one day appear. I can feel it through. You're further along than you should be given your chakra reserves, you haven't been putting more into it than you should have. You. No. Sakura shook her head. There was no way she'd be able to live if she poured any more chakra into it than she already was. I haven't changed the amount since I started the stream. A scowl appeared on Tsunade's face. Sakura, don't lie to me. She wasn't keeping your reserves any lower than they already are could put your life in danger. You need to be very careful with this technique. Master, I swear I'm not. Tsunade cut her off with a finger. Today's training is cancelled. I want you to go meditate on your seal to make certain you're not leaking chakra in. I'll also see about getting Inoichi to inspect your mind to give you. A small smile graced Tsunade's lips. Peace of mind about your Naruto fantasies. Taunton oinked in disapproval. Chakra had to come from somewhere. Sakura stared at the representation of the seal in her mind, watching more than feeling her chakra slowly pour into the growing reserve with each passing moment. A pound with no outlet, the chakra within the seal felt different than her regular chakra, it was thicker and limited in its use. If her natural chakra was pure water, then the chakra within the seal was a rich syrup. She felt as though she could reach out and touch it. This vast reserve of chakra was simply sitting there ready for her to use. But to use it now would risk the entire seal. She needed to wait for the seal to form, then it would be stable to draw upon in its entirety. A second reserve of chakra, several times greater than her own, dedicated to healing and enhancing. A chill ran up Sakura's spine. She couldn't wait to be able to draw upon the reserve freely and demonstrate the monstrous strength that her master had. In theory, the technique was simple, provided you had the control and the reserve for it. In theory, she'd only need the smallest drop of the chakra to make the earth shatter with a punch. Sakura let out a long sigh. It felt as though she was staring at a pond waiting for it to suddenly turn into a lake. She could only feel her own chakra flowing into the seal. Then she felt it, like a wave of water as thin as a pane of glass flowing in from all directions into her seal. The amount shocked her. It was easily as much chakra as her normal reserve capacity. Maybe as much chakra as she would generate in half a day. It was like a bowl of water being added to the pond. But where did it come from? Then it hit her. The memories. Shadow clone jutsu. Something was different this time. The air felt tense. Sakura stared down at Naruto's open outstretched hand. She could see the air spinning around it as he was preparing to do the Rasengan. You little punk. A large, round-bellied man with arms as thick as tree trunks roared as he charged at them. An oversized axe came charging up from the ground, his footsteps shaking the very ground. You won't take my merchandise from me. Sakura, hurry. Rasengan, Naruto shouted at her, shaking his hand at her as he stared at charging man. I don't know how. Sakura shouted. She gazed over the area trying to make sense of the situation. Behind Naruto were cowering children in chains and rags. Their faces dirty and bruised, they were malnourished. She understood it then, she would have done the same. I'll distract him. I'll kill you. The pig-faced man growled at them, bringing the axe of his head. She was a shadow clone. If she died, Naruto could just bring her back over and over again. Sakura smiled, feeling her anger rise, tapping into a reserve of strength she didn't know she had. Kicking up the dirt, Sakura charged at the disgusting rapist, slaver, traitor, deviant, pedophile, so many labels she could get him. But only one mattered right now. Enemy. He was slower, nothing but an oversized civilian. But no doubt one hit would be enough to dispel her. He swung the axe down towards her with surprising speed, cracking the earth as it missed her by inches. His stomach sounded like a drum as she punched him with a strength she didn't remember having. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto shouted from behind her, summoning another clone, this time one of himself, and began to form the Rasengan. You little bitch. The monstrous man snorted, gripping his stomach. His giant meaty fist swiped towards her, grabbing her by the scalp. I'm certain that a pink-haired beauty like you would sell just fine. He licked his lips. Though, maybe not after I have my fun with you. Sakura thrashed against the man's grip, hitting him again in the stomach hard enough for him to snort. His response was to slam her down into the ground. The last thing Sakura saw was Naruto charging to her rescue, the Rasengan in his hand. Then nothing. The extra chakra is coming from my clone, Sakura sighed as she felt the stress leave her body. Her confession with her master had left her filled with doubts. But that left questions as to why the letters were coming from some place other than where Naruto and Jiraiya were, who Futaki actually was, so many things were still up in the air. But the chakra that she received with the memories was all the proof she needed. A smile wiggled her way onto her face as she touched the spot where the seal would one day be. With her receiving her clone's chakra, with Naruto creating a clone of her every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and each clone giving her nearly a half day's worth of chakra, the 3 years it was going to take the seal to form would be dropped to less than 2. Thanks for the chakra, Naruto, Sakura whispered to no one, smiling up at the ceiling. She replayed the fight in her head, learning from her clone's mistakes. This was not the first fight Naruto had summoned her in, expecting her to help him perform the Rasengan. And it probably wouldn't be the last. He had a knack for falling into all kinds of trouble. A few days ago they ran into a cart that was falling off a cliff, before that it was a bear, and before that it was bandits. And now added to the list was a child slaver. It was one of his more admirable qualities, strengthened by his kindness and willingness to go the extra mile. It was like the idiot was on a one-man crusade to change the world. Especially towards her, even when dealing with her clone, he went out of his way to make her smile. He was such a sweetheart. She knew he liked her, but why did he like her? Her own memory of Sasuke approaching her on the bench played in her mind. It was so obvious that it was Naruto now that she knew it was him. He thought her forehead was beautiful and, holy crap, I'm crushing on Naruto. Shaking her head clear of Naruto, she still had to find some way of explaining where the extra chakra is coming from. It alone probably wouldn't convince Tsunade that she was receiving memories of a clone Naruto was making. She needed something concrete, something only Jiraiya or Naruto would know, but she needed to find some way of getting her clone to do what she wanted. It does share something with me, like my healing jutsu. Maybe if I concentrate on her asking questions before Naruto summons her again, she'll have the urge to ask a question. Sakura muttered to herself, staring at the heavy door that Tsunade had locked, then at the medical books. She still had so many left to read. As she read page after page, Sakura kept thinking about important questions to ask Naruto. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Sakura blinked into the warm summer day as she appeared in the same forested area where she had fought the large man. He was still there in a way, just through a couple trees and mildly cationic at the moment. The Rasengan was certainly a powerful technique. Hey, Sakura, Naruto spoke up to her left where the same group of children, and then some were nervously looking around and at the unconscious man ever so often. Do you think you can give these guys a look over to make sure they're okay? Sakura frowned. What makes you think I can do that? You've healed me a bunch of times. Yeah, but I still don't know how I do that. I just do it. She folded her arms and huffed. Her eyes caught a few glimpses of children, though she couldn't call a few of them that as they were older than her. She sighed and dropped her arms. Most of them were just malnourished. A few had a scrape or two, or bruises around the wrist from ropes or chains. All of them were stolen by the pig-faced man as payment for their family's debts, which were earned from failing to pay protection money to him. By the end of the day, the children were returned to the families, and the bastard was dealt with by Jiraiya. He said that the toad would deliver him to a prison, but Sakura wasn't so sure that's what happened when a toad she learned the difference between frogs and toads ate somebody whole. Which left her and Naruto staring at another sunset feeling like they actually did something today. Hey, Naruto, Sakura asked without thinking as she watched the blue ocean slowly turn to a brilliant orange as the sun set. The orange sky was filled with beautiful pink clouds stretched thin over the horizon. Yay! She could feel him looking at her, like standing with her back to a campfire. The night of the fireworks was still fresh in her mind, Naruto's truth, her jealousy of that red-haired skank, and the ending where she rested her head on Naruto's shoulders. Why do you like me? The words slipped out of her mouth on their own conviction. That wasn't what she intended to ask, but it was what she wanted to ask. Biting her lip, she turned to face Naruto, her cheeks heating up for so many reasons. And I mean, why do you like the real me? Naruto frowned. You are the real Sakura though. No, I'm not. Sakura barked, feeling the tears well up in her eyes. I'm just a clone, I don't really exist, and the real Sakura is back in Konoha completely unaware of anything of this. Yay, but you're here now, and clone or not, you're still Sakura, so you're still important to me. He placed a hand on her arm and a smile on her face. But why? Why am I so important to you? You risked your life to bring back Sasuke for me, you fought so hard against Gaara for me. Why, what did I do to make you like me so much? It didn't make any sense for him to like her. She was rude to him, she hit him, she berated him, at best all she gave him the time of day. So why did Naruto go so far for her? Well, why do you like Sasuke? Naruto laid on his back, staring up at the sky as the last rays of the sun began to dim, revealing the cold night sky. She liked Sasuke because he was cool, handsome, mysterious, a good ninja, and he said her forehead was, no, wait, that one was Naruto. There was something else, wasn't there? There had to be something more. Something like in all those love stories where the boy and the girl fall in love. She wasn't that shallow. Right, I just do. Same here, for you that is, not the bastard, he's just my brother or something. Stammered out. But I think I know one of the reasons, we're a lot alike. Sakura gave a snort and flopped down onto her back beside Naruto, glaring at his face as he stared up at the stars. And how are we alike? We both want other people to acknowledge us. Naruto turned to her, his smile somehow shining in the growing darkness that was covering them like a thick fog. It sounded like it could be true. But, is that it? You like me because we're kind of alike in one way. You're also super pretty, and you were nice enough to give me your lunch during Kakashi's test, and I also kind of like it when you're bossy. Naruto blurted out all at once. Sakura barely caught the final thing he said. When I'm bossy. Another nervous laugh. Well, like, I don't know, it makes me feel important, I guess. Huh. Sakura tore her eyes from Naruto and stared up at the sky, watching the stars appear one by one. A small idea blossomed in her mind, that grew into a smile. Alright, Naruto, let's make a deal. Okay. Naruto stood up, offering a hand to Sakura to help her up as well. Laughing as Naruto stood her up, Sakura stared at him. The difference in height was small, but still growing. A tall, muscly Naruto appeared in her mind, smiling down at her as they tumbled in the sand, water lapping at their feet. He leaned down and Sakura shook her head and tried to picture the same scene with Sasuke. Sasuke was still tall and lean. But they remained under an umbrella staring at the ocean, no movement, no passion, no desire. He was simply there because he had to be. Naruto would be there because he wanted to be. Yay. Sakura nodded, mostly to herself. She tapped Naruto in the chest. Listen here, I've decided I'm going to help you get the real me to fall in love with you. Really? She nodded at Naruto's excited outburst. He grabbed her under her arms and her around, laughing with each spin. That's awesome, Sakura. Thanks. In exchange, You need to teach me the Rasengan. Naruto stopped and placed her down again. Okay, but why? Because you keep summoning me to help you do it, might as well skip the step of having to summon another clone. Plus, she needed an ace up her sleeve, something that was actually powerful enough to knock a foe back. As it stood, she could only distract a foe while Naruto got ready. Oh, that makes sense. Naruto scratched the back of his head, smiling at her. So, when do you want to start? We'll do the training tomorrow. Tonight we're going to try and make you a bit more romantic. Sakura took a step back, her mouth forming a hard line. Okay, I want you to do the most romantic thing you can think of right now to me. Naruto looked confused and more than a little nervous. What do you mean? Do something you've always wanted to do. I'm ready. She could feel her face burning in the cool night air. The only thing warmer was Naruto's gaze upon her. Especially when he resolved himself and took a step towards her. Her legs were shaking, palms sweaty, throat dry, lips chapped. You are the prettiest girl I know, Naruto muttered at the start but gained confidence towards the end. You're also the smartest, nicest person I know. He leaned in, his lips pursing slightly. Oh God, was going to kiss her. She wasn't ready for this. She didn't expect Naruto to be so bold as to take the opportunity to kiss her. Wait, why was she leaning in too? Why were her lips pursing? Oh God, they were going to kiss. She closed her eyes waiting for Naruto's kiss. She felt it not on her lips, but on her forehead. Well, how'd I do? Naruto asked, taking 2 steps back, rubbing the back of his head. His eyes were fixed on the ocean. Sakura's hand flew to where his lips had just been. Her heart was going crazy. Yay. No, she swallowed to keep her heart from jumping out of her throat. Naruto didn't need her help when it came to being sweet and romantic. She just needed the patience to see it. That's pretty much perfect. I just said what I always wanted to say. If he had said something like that to her, forehead kiss or no, she probably would have taken his attempts to ask her out seriously. Yay. Well, I'm a bit tired, so I'm going to go too. Well, I'll just see you tomorrow. The last thing she saw was Naruto's smile as she vanished. Holy. Sakura dropped the book she was wearing as the memories and the emotions came flooding into her. Her heart went from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye and her face immediately became flush. She could practically feel the spot on her forehead where Naruto had kissed her glowing with the warmth of a bonfire. Her clone was going too far. This was crazy. Now it was making deals about getting Naruto to fall in love with her. And running wild with her emotions as well. I can't believe it. I'm falling for Naruto. That was the first time a boy had kissed her. Well, technically it was her clone. Crap, now I'm jealous of my own clone. Sakura sat back and looked through the small window, the star-filled night sky calling to her. Her clone did do what she wanted in a way. She had wanted to find a secret from Naruto, but she wanted to know what he thought about her more. Still, the Rasengan might just be the proof I need.